What's up everyone? My name is Abby. I like to read and I should be studying for an exam that I have tomorrow, but I'm procrastinating. So today I'm going to do my January wrap up, and I know it's like the middle of February and I'm really late to this, but better late than never. That's what I always say. So in January I read a total of 10 books. 3 of them were audiobooks on Audible and 7 were physical books. So I'm going to start off with the audiobooks that I listen to on Audible. I love listening to audiobooks while I'm working or walking the dog. It's just a really great way to kind of pass the time and listen to a book at the same time. So I listened to 3 audiobooks, and they are all from the same series. It was the Magi Rising series, and these are all by Raye Wagner. So the first book was Betrayed, and I'll put a picture right there. That's what it looks like. And this is about people who are called Magi and they have powers, and there's a girl named Disa and she is in love with a guy named Zavroon, and he's like the prince, or he's going to become the ruler, but he's betrothed to her sister, and so it involves a lot of betrayal and magic, and it was pretty good. This was my favorite of the series, or the 3 that I read. I'd probably give this one about 3 stars. And the next book in that series is Stolen. I'll put a picture right there. Stolen. This one was very different from the first. It's an interesting storyline of where it leads off from the last book. I can't really get too much into it without spoiling it. But it was not as good as the first one, so I'd probably give this one 2.5 stars. And then the last audiobook that I listened to was Illusions, also by Raye Wagner. That's what it looks like. And this one, probably my least favorite of the 3. The characters seemed very inconsistent from how they acted in the first 2 books. And the plot kind of seemed a little confusing. There were kind of some plot holes and stuff that didn't really make sense. And I thought this was the last book. I thought it was only 3 books in the series, but apparently there's another one coming out, and I don't think I'm gonna read it. It wasn't my cup of tea. So I'd probably give the 3rd one 2 stars. So the first 2 books that I read physically in January are World After and End of Days by Susan E. These are the 2nd and 3rd book of the Penryn and the End of Days trilogy. This is a post-apocalyptic series with angels. Basically, angels have come down and are destroying the earth and killing everyone. So it's a pretty good series. I think the first one is probably my favorite, and the last one is probably my least favorite. I don't know why. That happens a lot to me in series. But I would give each of these 3 stars. So the next books that I read, when I started reading them, it's when I started doing my reading journal. And in this journal, when I gave books a rating, I gave them out of 10 stars. And so the ones that I just talked to you about were out of 5 stars. So the ratings seem very low, but it's because they're weighted differently. So these will be out of 10 stars. So the next book that I read is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. This is a thriller mystery novel about a killer on the loose, and you're trying to figure out who it is, and it was pretty good. It's set in the 1800s. I love the world. I love that Audrey Rose is very much girl power and ahead of her time, so it was a really good book. I gave this 7 out of 10 stars. The next book I read was Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. This is a really good fantasy, multi-point of view, different characters, fighting for the throne, betrayal. It was pretty good. And I gave this one 8 out of 10 stars. The last 3 books that I read were all rereads. So the first one is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This was a reread. I never finished the series, and so I really want to finish it. And so I started over, and it's really good. It's a little, I'm older. I read it when I was younger, and so some of the teen angst is just like, but it's the feels. I like going back into the world. I love the Shadowhunter world, so it was really cool to get back into it. And I gave this book 8.5 out of 10 stars. The next book I read is The Jewel by Amy Ewing. This is the first book in the Lone City series. This is about a city where girls are taken and they become surrogates for the royal families. So, really interesting. And I gave this a rating of 9 out of 10, which seems really high. I might bump that down to an 8 out of 10. It was really good, but like kind of surface level good. Not too deep, but still an enjoyable read. And the last book that I read in January was Lailah. That was my dog trying to get my attention. I don't know if you heard that.
Was
The cry yawn that he does. Anyways, the last book in January that I read was Lailah by Nikki Kelly. This is the first book in the Stalking saga. And this book, it has angels, it has vampires, it has hybrids of in between. It's really good. Very action-packed and fighting and discovering who you are, and very good book. I rated this 8.5 out of 10 stars. So those were all the books that I read in January. I'm reading a lot of the second books in these series in February, so it's really cool to get back into the worlds of all the different books, and I'm excited to continue on with the series. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. This is a post-apocalyptic